I'm T Love, and this is the Love Song Podcast. Welcome into another episode. I want to begin by giving a little love to my sponsor, Shirts and More, located at 2517 Jacob Street, Wheeling, West Virginia. Shirts and More is a family-owned business, and for over 40 years, they have been providing the best and most professional garments on the market. Let Tracy, Braxton, Dana, or any of the friendly staff at Shirts and More help you with your next apparel need. You can contact them directly at 304-232-2030. Tell them T-Love with Love Song sent you. I guarantee you they'll take care of you. Today is episode 27, and we're going to be discussing LA's compromised elections. In episode 26, I told you about how Washington is the greatest threat to America. The evidence on J6 and the compromised 2020 election. The rules of engagement by our leaders in Washington flow downstream to the state and local governments. I am a proud American who believes both sides are corrupt and compromised. I also believe both sides are complicit in the cover-ups of each other's side. That is why nobody in Washington goes to prison for treason, extortion, bribery, theft, murder, you name it. It's a who's list of a what list, right? Our government, in my opinion, is the largest, most powerful mafia that has ever been created. Our government has it all: lies, sex, drugs, alcohol, extortion, bribery, murders, suicides, scandal after scandal. It's a never-ending saga, that is for sure. Our tax dollars are being shipped to the very terror organizations we are supposed to be at war with. Politicians who invoke God's name but cover up the world's largest pedophile scandal. Our pastors who preach God's word yet stand behind those who cover up the waste, fraud, abuse, and sexual predators. Every administration has a religious advisory team. Why? A godly person would never stand side by side with the filth and evil that resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, no matter who the POTUS is. To be sitting in the White House or the American Congress, you must be morally bankrupt. In my effort to expose the corruption and compromise, I do a lot of research, and that research led me to today's little episode out of Los Angeles, California. The Los Angeles City Council on Thursday approved a ballot measure for the November election to allow non-citizens to vote in local races. Are you flipping kidding me? Council member Hugo Soto Martinez proposed the idea. I don't know anything about Councilman Martinez other than the fact if he is the one that proposed this, he should immediately be removed from office. End of discussion. Mr. Martinez says, and I quote, I recognize the concerns around how much money it's going to cost. Who's going to be eligible, he said. What I believe the choice in front of us is, if you believe people who are residents of the city, who contribute, who pay their taxes, have their businesses, should we explore how we give them the ability to vote in elections, end quote. You just can't make this stuff up, man. For now, supporters said the plan would focus on immigrants who already have some form of status, including people enrolled in DACA and those with active asylum cases. There are many details that still have to be worked out before the final language is placed on a ballot. Quote, we actually find ourselves in a difficult situation because we're either going to have to finance our own separate type of ballot, Council Member Monica Rodriguez said. I don't even know that the county has been consulted on how to implement such a concept, end quote. The issue has received a firestorm of criticism from Republican leaders, of course. I cannot believe a city that is unable to fight fires, to help broken souls that are homeless and drug addicted, that can't even fight crime on our streets or pick up the garbage that is in what the LA City Council spends their time doing. Council member Nathia Rahman, who is running against Mayor Karen Bass, she supports the measure. And I quote, "I'm very supportive of exploring and expanding this," Rahman said. "Parents and school boards have done this in other cities." CBS LA asked Angelenos about the issue. Some said they need to know more about the measures. Others support the concept outright. Quoting, "I think people who are non-citizens still deserve to vote because they're part of our community, regardless if they are a citizen or not," resident Victoria Esperanza said. "They still contribute in good ways to our community." Let me be very clear. The elections that are held in the United States of America are for legal citizens of the United States of America. That's the end of the debate. The U.S. elections, whether it be on the federal, the state, or the local levels, they are held so that the citizens of this country can elect the representatives that they so choose. That's it. Why anyone would think that it's okay for people who aren't citizens, regardless of what your immigration status is, if you are not a legalized citizen, you can't vote. Sorry. In fact, no country outside the United States allows non-residents to vote in their elections. Those countries do not allow their local governments to allow non-residents to vote either. Let me be really clear. Even in the democratic countries across the globe, forget the dictators and all the mess. Other countries who have a democratic system do not allow non-residents to vote in their national elections, and their government does not allow their local government or state governments to run amok of that and allow people who aren't citizens to vote. It's lunacy. It's absolutely lunacy. But here in the United States of America, a country where the citizens shout daily, the country is corrupt and we need changes, we find ourselves watching a corrupt state like California have its local officials passing laws that allow non-residents to vote, which means our election process that is already under heavy scrutiny is about to be radicalized by hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions, who are not citizens of this country. There are 350 million living in the United States. 50 million are suggested to be here illegally, and 75 million are under 18 years of age, which leaves about 225 million to vote, to which only 150 to 175 million are actually registered to do so. I use that 25 million voter gap because there is clear evidence not all 175 registered voters are alive or legal. The fact that I'm even having to do an episode on this is absolutely just blowing my mind. I believe the number is closer to 140 to 150 million. Using the 150 million number, that would leave 75 million Americans who just don't care enough about politics to go cast a vote. Kudos to those people for not picking a corrupt side. I applaud your level of I don't give a crap. I mean, I really do. What better way to tilt an election than to get 50 million people who are not in this country lawfully the right to cast a vote? That would severely tilt an election severely. You got to think most of the elections in the United States, I'd have to go back and look at the data, but I would think that they were 10 million votes or less that decides the president. Less than that decides your governor's races and lieutenant governors and attorney generals, and even less than that decides your mayor's races and things of that nature, right? But if you were to let 50 million people across this country automatically become eligible to vote, regardless of their legal status of being a citizen or not, you would absolutely flip the electoral process forever. It's ludicrous. I mean, it's absolutely lunacy. This is next level radical. I find this to be treasonous. You're wanting to bypass the very foundation of our Constitution. The very people standing in front of a TV camera and preaching about democracy. I don't see that. I just don't. You can bash Donald Trump all day long, but right now, when you look at what the Democrat Party is trying to do to our election system, the open border during Joe Biden's era, that wasn't by accident. It's starting to all make sense, right? You got, some people say it's 10 million, some people say it's 15. I think it's closer to 25. And when we already had 50 million people living in this country illegally already, or they're not here as a legal citizen, let me put it that way, they're going through some type of process, or they're just here illegally. And then you add another 25 million to that. That means we now have 75 million people here. And you're going to give 75 million people who aren't a citizen the right to vote? Holy smokes. Right now, I think the Democrat Party is anti-American. You look at some of the things that they're doing with the border, immigration, their stance. The one, I try not to talk about it too much because I'm a man, but these people get out here and they chant and protest on abortion. And these same people who will protest to kill an unborn child will also stand at the gates of a prison and protest to save the life of a convicted felon, a murderer, rapist, whatever it may be. And it just blows my mind. You will protest to kill an innocent child and then turn around and protest to keep alive someone that would actually kill that innocent child. Make it make sense. Whew, good Lord. By anti-American, I mean the values, the principles, and the beliefs this country was founded on. Country, family, God. When I see video from LA, I see people waving flags that aren't even American. When you can stand on the street and you can wave a foreign flag and are always trying to change the culture and laws of my country, then you're being anti-American. The time is past to rid America of all of these anti-American politicians and all of those that fly any other flag other than the American flag. Not the pride flag, not the Mexican flag, not the Canadian flag, Israeli flag, the Iranian flag, UK, Ireland, doesn't matter what flag. You're in the United States of America. You move here. You need to learn to love this country and adapt to our culture and our laws. And if you can't do that, then you need to just pack all of your stuff up, baby, and head on back to where you came from. Problem solved. As I have here in my notes, this is America. Love it or leave it. But by God, stop trying to change it to reflect the cultures that you actually fled from. I put that in there because, in my belief, if your Mexican flag and your Mexican country was so great to you and you are so prideful about where you came from, why did you leave? If Bulgaria is such a wonderful country, why do you migrate elsewhere? Ukraine, Russia, China, whatever the case may be, right? I'm not picking on any country. This is my country. I love my country. I grew up in an era as a young child going to children's church. I was taught Jesus loves the little children, all the little children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. They are precious in his sight. And as I've grown older, and I understand, well, there's a white person, a black person, red and yellow, black and white. Oh, okay, well, I get this. But in America, we are a diverse culture. We have red, yellow, black, white. We've kind of got the rainbow. And that's a good thing. Variety is the spice of life. But when you come here, you need to leave all of that boo-boo mess where you came from. Because to come here and to run from the boo-boo mess that you're running from, only to get here and still have the mindset to vote and have the intellectual capacity to continue to think and believe the same way you did of the country you left, that's lunacy. This country is about family, country, and God, not particularly in that order. It's not about the raping and the killing and the division and the hate that we have so much of in this country. Why? Oh, politicians and the media. It's just that simple. I cannot believe Karen Bass survived the primaries. This is a woman who failed as an elected official of one of the largest cities in this country. Failed from an EMS standpoint to be emergency ready for fires and all the other stuff that goes on out there, right? They got poop on the streets. Homeless on the streets. I have a friend from California. I was talking to him a week or so ago, and he was talking about how when he walked down the streets, it just reeked of smell. I may have to complain about somebody's body odor from time to time, but I don't see a lot of poop in the streets. But during my travels, I do go to some very troubling demographic places. And you can see some resemblance of those bigger cities of LA, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, whatever it may be. I do not know how you can look yourself in the mirror, call yourself an American, and think it's okay to let someone that's not American vote in your elections. Unless you absolutely know that the people that you're going to let vote are going to vote for your side. Oh, brother. We're all just one accident, one diagnosis, or one unexpected phone call away from living a much different life. I implore you, be humble, stay kind, show your love, and go check on your people, because it is your people that matter. And at the end of the day, your people, no matter if you're Democrat or Republican, we're all American. And it's time you look in the mirror and realize that and stop playing all of these hateful divisional games. And let's come back to the United States of America instead of the divided States of America. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Until I see you on the next one, take care.